News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. Novo Nordisk is suing Hims & Hers Health even after the telehealth firm scrapped plans to sell a copyright version of Novo's Wegovy weight loss pill. Bloomberg Intelligence senior pharma analyst Sam Fazeli says that reversal is already a reprieve for Novo.
It could be a bigger reprieve if they decide to also not continue with the injectable version. That's a lot easier. There was a period where they were allowed to because there was lack of supply. Then the FDA, I think, didn't do much when supply came back on, and the compounders still carried on.
Sam Fazeli with Bloomberg Intelligence. Hims & Hers shares are down 25%. Novo Nordisk's shares are more than 5% higher. Ghislaine Maxwell refused to answer questions from a House committee invoking her Fifth Amendment rights. The former girlfriend and confidant of Jeffrey Epstein was to be questioned during a video call after she came under new scrutiny, while lawmakers are looking for anyone who was connected to Epstein and might have facilitated his abuse. Chair of the committee, Congressman James Comer.
As expected, Ghislaine Maxwell took the Fifth and refused to answer any questions. This obviously is very disappointing. We had many questions to ask about the crimes she and Epstein committed.
Maxwell was to be questioned during a video call to the federal prison camp in Texas, where she is serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking. The fallout from the Epstein files is spreading overseas. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer facing a high-profile call to resign after he appointed Peter Mandelson as U.S. ambassador, despite his ties to the late sex offender.
The distraction needs to end, and the leadership in Downing Street has to change.
Scottish Labour Party leader Anas Sarwar this morning. Two of Starmer's top aides have already resigned. Members of Starmer's cabinet are coming to his defense. Oil edged higher after the U.S. advised ships to steer clear of the Straits of Hormuz. The Transportation Department said American-flagged ships should stay as far as possible from Iranian waters. The development reversed any momentum that followed pledges by Iran and the U.S. to continue their talks on Friday. Oil now more than 1.5% higher. A Hong Kong court has sentenced former media mogul and pro-democracy activist Jimmy Lai to 20 years in prison for collusion and sedition charges under a 2020 Beijing-imposed national security law. The sentence has prompted intense international scrutiny, with Western governments calling for Lai's release on humanitarian grounds. Lai's family and supporters have condemned the sentence, with his son calling it draconian and an injustice. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is urging Hong Kong authorities to grant Lai humanitarian parole. The January jobs report comes out on Wednesday, just a few days late because of the partial government shutdown. White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett told CNBC this morning to expect slightly smaller numbers that are consistent with high GDP growth. More on this with Bloomberg's Enda Curran in Washington.
The monthly jobs data are supposed to hold up okay. They're meant to come in around 69,000 according to the Economist survey. Unemployment holding around 4.4%. That's meant to have leaned into the idea of a stabilising jobs market. But maybe, and this is perhaps what Mr. Hass is speaking to, we do also get the annual revisions on Wednesday, and they're expected to show fairly hefty downward revisions for the previous year, the year to March 2025.
Bloomberg's Enda Curran reporting another rally in tech companies after last week's artificial intelligence-driven Rout drove stocks higher. We check markets for you all day long here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 up 0.6%, NASDAQ up 1.2%. The Dow little changed on the downside. 10-year Treasury yield at 4.2%. The 2-year yield at 3.48%. Spot gold now 2% higher, more than $5,000 per ounce. Bitcoin 0.7% lower, bouncing around $70,000. Alphabet has attracted more than $100 billion of orders for a bond sale that's expected to be about $15 billion, according to people with direct knowledge of the matter. The demand is among the strongest ever seen for a corporate bond offering, showing investor hunger to buy debt tied to the artificial intelligence boom. Eddie Bauer has filed for bankruptcy with plans to sell as many of its 200 stores as possible and just liquidate the rest. In Chapter 11 court papers filed in New Jersey, the clothing retailer said it has a deal with secured lenders to auction off its brick-and-mortar operations. The brick-and-mortar chain listed more than $1 billion in debt and less than $500 million worth of assets. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. This is Bloomberg.